Hi guys, Ancient Warrior, and I'm back. Welcome back to Prepping in Free America. If you like what you hear here, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be the first kid on your block to know what craziness we're talking about next, hit the bell icon with all. And thumbs up, folks. Thumbs down. Doesn't matter. I need to know what's going on. And leave comments. I need your input. It's hard sometimes to come up with enough videos to show a video every day through the week. Speaking of that, this week we're only going to have videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Um, if you went to the community page, you found out that I had a car wreck last week, or was involved in a car wreck. I didn't have it, I was a passenger. I spent most of last week, uh, it happened a week ago Sunday, yesterday, and I bounced my head against the post in this car, or in this Suburban. I hit the side of my head. And basically all last week, up until this morning, they've had me on what they call a concussion protocol. Guarantee you, they take one more x-ray of my body and they're going to know more about my body than I know. So that's the reason I was gone last week. Nothing serious, but it was sort of serious. Yeah. Nothing to lose sleep over, folks. Okay, let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about the news from last week. There were several things that I should have touched on last week, so I'm going to touch on them. Just do a light fingering of them today. Number one, Hunter Biden. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hunter Biden came out. Hunter Biden came out and admitted last week, or it may have even been the weekend before the wreck, that the laptop was his. And that he's trying to get the DOJ involved to stop his personal records from being aired. Let me say this to you, Mr. Hunter Biden, that ship has sailed. It's already in the public domain. We know about a bunch of your dirty dealings. One of your dirty dealings is what you're doing to that child in Arkansas. You had a fling with his mama, or her mama, and you don't want to take responsibility. You don't want that child to wear the Biden name. And that mama wants that child to have that Biden name. Why does he not want that child to have the Biden name? Well, the mama's not high caliber enough. Not qualified to be a Biden. You know, he's a normal rich person. They look down their nose at the working class. And she's working class. I may not approve of the job she does, being a stripper, but she's working class. And he needs to take responsibility for his actions. Number two, FUBAR from Mr. Hunter. He tried to get DOJ involved to investigate everybody who's gotten copies of the laptop. Funny how that happened, considering the guy who the the computer tech who was drugged through the mud filed a lawsuit against Hunter Biden claiming defamation of character. Isn't that funny, folks? All these things are starting to happen right after somebody else has done something. Hunter is afraid. He's terrified. And I would not be shocked if Hunter Biden, if Joe Sr., is it Joe Sr.? Oh no, it's Joe Sinelli, doesn't suggest his son go to a country where we have no extradition agreement with. His brother James may have to join him. How in the hell did this family get in control of the United States government? They're as dirty. They're more crooked than a barrel of snakes. Hell, a barrel of snakes looks straight. Okay, let's talk about the second big thing that happened last week. On Wednesday, it seems that we had a Chinese balloon float into our airspace. And floated for a week over our Minuteman silos, our missile silos. Floated, actually came in across the Aleutian chain, floated across Alaska, down Canada, and went across to Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, Kansas, and then the U.S. government was not going to say anything until an eagle-eyed civilian happened to look up and see it, got a pair of binoculars out, or a telescope, and wanted to see what it was. Truthfully, I think he was hoping he was seeing a UFO. And for then, from Friday until Saturday, nobody could figure out why we hadn't shot it down. After hearing the size of the thing, I knew the size of the balloon. It was the size of 3 buses, which would, if, about 130 feet long across, Until Saturday, I didn't know how big the package was, the payload package. And I don't remember if it was Ratcliffe or a general or a CIA operative, ex-CIA operative, who said the package under it was the size of a Mack truck. Okay, folks, if it's the size of a Mack truck, that means it's about 16,000 pounds. between 16 and 18,000 pounds. Oh my God. And now there's questions if possibly, you know, since it wasn't being paid close attention to, that if they might have been dropping tracking devices or listening devices that can be turned on at any time. I even heard one operative who made a comment that got my attention real quick. Now, I don't run in panic. Guys, I'm prepared for most anything. I said most. Anybody who tells you they're prepared for everything is lying. That or they're stupid because they don't know what everything entails. He suggested that it could have had an EMP device on it. Now, I'd have been a little more concerned if that balloon would have come farther south than it did, because if he'd have gotten over the Amarillo area, what a lot of you don't understand about Amarillo, we're a little more important than people realize. This is final assembly. The final assembly plant, Bell Helicopter has their final assembly here for the Osprey helicopters. You know, the planes that turn into a helicopter. The new Cobra, I think they're class Super Cobra or Ultra Cobra, I don't know. But they're a lot more efficient and effective than the old ones. I worked out there for about 2 years till the first big wave of layoffs. And, you know, we always notice in defense industry, people in the defense industry always notice one thing. When Democrats take over, defense spending goes down, people get laid off. Okay. If it had gotten over here over Amarillo or anywhere close to Amarillo, I would have been concerned. We also have a facility east of town called Pantex. They disassemble our nuclear warheads. That could be a problem. Folks, the Biden administration just showed everybody how stupid, how lazy, and how in the pocket of the Chinese they are. We know that Hunter and Joe are in the pockets of the Ukrainians and the Chinese. You know, when you get a job doing something you know nothing about and get a big paycheck every month, you know there's some payola involved. I just wonder, and I asked this friend of mine, he worked in Washington, D.C. with one of the big think tanks for years and finally couldn't stand. There was 3 things he couldn't stand. He couldn't stand the people in Washington, D.C. He couldn't stand the politicians. And he couldn't stand their crazy-ass weather. The first two were the big, and the third one was just icing on the cake. Excuse me, folks. I still ache all over. As a matter of fact, when this video's done, I'm fixing to take off and go to the gym and soak in the hot tub some more. I've been doing a lot of that lately. What's the third thing? Folks, oh, wait a minute, back to what I was talking about, excuse me. My mind's a little cluttered today. If that balloon had gotten over anywhere near Amarillo, then I would have wondered if there wasn't possibly an EMP device involved. They now know that our military is not paying attention. Our Air Force, our Air Command is not paying attention. As much as I love the Air Force, the people I know in the Air Force, I have a couple of relatives. I have a cousin, second cousin, excuse me, who's a Air Force colonel. Great guy. Likes to have a lot of fun. About, roughly 10 years younger than me. Makes him 62. But folks, I want to know why it was able to float over Alaska without Elmendorf there in Alaska sending fighters out to find out what the hell it was. Now, they may have known it was a balloon, but that big a payload package? Next time you're out and about, look at the size of a semi-tractor. Folks, I think that was a test run. Okay. The third thing. Apparently the Russians, every other day last week, was remarking how if NATO sends tanks or fighter jets to Ukraine, that the possibility of nukes could be deployed. But they're not going to use the big ones, they said. They're going to just use their small tacticals. One of their small tacticals is 10 times the size, yields 10 times the power of the bombs at Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And then on Friday, I think it was, I saw where the Chinese stepped in and told Rootin' Tootin' Putin and his clowns, his gaggle of clowns, to shut up with the nuclear threats. Now, somewhere through this week, we're going to talk about if Red Dawn's possible. With everything evolving that I've seen over the last couple of months, the answer is going to be different. With that being said, folks, we're getting pretty close to the 20-minute mark. I'm the Ancient Warrior. Love your families. Hold them close because, like that accident proved, you never know how much longer they've got. And be blessed, folks. Love your families. Tell them how much you need them. And remember, it's better to have this stuff and not need it than need it and not have it. I'm the Ancient Warrior. We're out.